there, Kyle?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
Can you hear me?
I got you. Yep.
Okay. Kyle, you hear me?
Kyle, can you hear Sydney this time?
No.
Try again,
What?
Sydney.
I
Hello?
heard her earlier, but not now. Since she came
Oh
back
no!
This is weird.
How bizarre.
Hey,
in. It's always something.
I know, right? Yeah, and we're still frozen. I wonder if there's problems on my end.
Well, when I got a message a
Now I
second
can
ago
hear.
that said one of your streamers is having internet issues, but I figured it was Kyle, but maybe it is you, Chris.
It must be me, but... All right. Well,
But
I just tested it. I got good internet here.
But Kyle, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Well, hopefully it just stays good.
Yep, hopefully. Sorry.
Ryan says he can hear us all. It's not funny to get to hear us. Can you hear? Can you hear? It's so funny how things just don't work.
Yeah. Are you seeing chat already then?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got Jody Cedric just said good morning. Ryan, Jonathan Rosa.
So
There's Pizza Plussy.
problem is on my end. I'm not seeing any chat stream yet.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Can you leave and come back without kicking us off or no?
Yeah, probably not.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's okay. I can read I could join another way and see the chats.
Yeah, we've got a couple off YouTube and then some off Facebook.
Yeah.
Chris, Jason would like to know how the Porsche turned out.
Pretty good, I think. Let's see. Guy comes to pick it up a little bit later today.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of Porsches being done this week. Saw a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hi, Scott. I was listening to you live, Scott, and then I had to leave and come do this one. So thanks for joining us over here.
I see Bob's comment.
Good
On my
morning, Bob.
Is he like the latest comment?
Yeah, he was the last comment.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try and watch the comments on my iPad since I'm having trouble.
Okay. Well, the good news is Kyle and I can see them too. So, Kyle, do you see the comments?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
Well,
You guys have a good weekend?
well,
I
like I
did.
said, mine was all work.
Yours was work. How many cars did you do? 2?
Just one. Well, one over the weekend. I did a car on Friday, and then
Oh, okay.
I did the Porsche over the weekend, and I had way too many hours in it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the usual. I always spend too long on them.
I worked.
Yeah.
I worked in the morning and took care of my sleep, and then laid around for a little bit, and then met my uncle and his family and my brother, and met his family. And we went to the Razors out for a couple hours up in the mountain.
Cool.
Yep, I had fun.
All right. So what do you guys think? There you go. You're live.
Good morning.
Oh man, so
It's
this is
early.
cool. Yeah, it is. This one
early.
feels different. Huh.
Do you guys prefer the layout? Do you like Kyle on the left and you on the right? Or?
No, whichever.
I don't care.
It's all good.
I can move you around.
So welcome to Bead Maker and Coffee, everyone. We're going to make this a regular thing, as Sydney and I talked about last 2 weeks ago. We're going to try and do it every couple weeks, and answer questions, give you guys a little bit of info, what's happening with PNS, and maybe take some feedback as well that we can bring back and hopefully make things even better than we already do. We have some great stuff. So we're going to start out with, like every Bead Maker and Coffee, is Sydney and I are going to tell you about something we detailed or a product we used, and we can discuss that for a minute, and then we'll discuss a few other things. So I'm going to let Sydney start with her detail story from the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, cool. So I had kind of just a fun, different out of the box detail last week. I did and I don't remember the year, but it was probably sometime in the 70s, a Jeep, and it had been built out to be like a race type rock crawler Jeep. And it was bright yellow, and it's been in the shop for like 3 years. And so it just came home from the shop. And so the owner wanted it 100%, as he would put it, rinsable. So meaning when he came home from a day of fun, he wanted to just be able to rinse everything off and for it to look perfect. So I literally got to use the entire inspiration line, which was really fun. I literally coated every inch of the vehicle that could be. So all the way to the roll bars, to the flooring, the seats. They had big race seats. They weren't Recaros, but like that type. Simpson seat belts. Everything got coated. So I got to use the fabric coating on the seats and the seat belts. The cover on the top was fabric, so did that. All the wheels got inspiration. The whole roll bar, the speakers, even down to the gas cans and the fire extinguishers. I polished those and coated them. So it was really interesting and super fun. And then on the paint, there was literally only paint on the hood and just down below the door where the doors would be. There was no doors. And so that all got legend. So that had major polishing to be done, and then did legend on the paint. But even the worn wench got coated. And so, the window obviously got view. So it was just really fun. It was fun to have something that was a bunch of little different parts and pieces, and I got to use every single bottle. And that was just super fun. And then a whole bunch of parts got sole, and it was really fun. So that was awesome. If you guys missed that, you can go to my Instagram and see the pictures of it, but it was really fun.
Does he have like drain plugs in the floor that he can pop out and just
Yep.
rinse it?
Yep. Yeah.
That's cool.
It was super cool. Yeah. And the dashboard was all, sealed and everything, and even coated the dashboard, and even he called it a head bumper, but like the dashboard up top was plastic, but he wanted that coated with inspiration. So, and it turned out really, really nice. So that was just a fun.
The wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. The only part that literally didn't get coated was just the tires. They got dressed, but it wasn't actually a coating, but every other part got coated. So it was really fun. Yeah.
I need to do that to my razor.
Yeah.
But it's always dirty.
Yeah. And that was the prep
again.
the prep was a little bit like, whoa, there was a lot of things to wipe down with paint prep and, use brushes to get all the dirt out and stuff. So it was just fun. It was just a different, not your average normal detail. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, my detail's a little different. I'm not really talking about a detail. I'm talking about many details that I did. So we got the new dynamic in a pint a few weeks ago, and I decided to kind of do a little experiment and see how many tires I could dress with that 16-ounce pint. And I actually tested it a few times because I wanted to be as accurate as I could be. But between doing low profile tires and big rig tires and off-road tires, I got about between 7 to 10 vehicles, which is a lot. That's a lot of tires. So I kind of figured it was about, an ounce or two per vehicle to dress tires. And I redid that again. And then it was more like 6 to 8 vehicles because I had more big rigs I was doing, or bus tires, which required a lot more product. And so I wanted just to let that information know that dynamic ready to use goes a long way. And the tires looked super shiny. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same experiment, but I'm going to see how many interiors I can dress with dynamic ready to use. I'm just going to save that pint and just use it on interiors.
Nice.
Because honestly, that's where dynamic's great on tires, but it's best on, it works great on plastics and interiors. I think it's where it shines best.
Yeah.
So even though I did everything from planes to RVs and school buses and all sorts of stuff in between, that was kind of a little experiment that I was excited about. And I made sure I did every single car that way.
And Kyle, do you spray it on the tire, or do you put it on a brush? Because I would imagine that has a big impact on how many tires somebody can do.
Kind of both. Most of the time I put it on a brush because I'm on someone's driveway and I'm trying to keep the driveway clean. But like some of the bigger mudder tires, I'll like to miss the bottom edge, get that that rolling edge.
Yeah.
And then you got to sit there with a brush. I use the green body brush. I don't know why it's harder to come by that salt and pepper brush down here. Everyone has the green one, but no one has that.
That's so funny. I just get them on Amazon. I have them on auto ship.
I know, but I have one that's dedicated just to wipe and shine. So I don't want to use it with any other dressing. So I just use the green one. And so sometimes I'll just give it a mist around the tire and work it in. And sometimes if it's like more of a low profile, or if I'm in a driveway, I'll try and do that. And then I'll just roll the vehicle forward or backwards and get that bottom edge.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm really liking the ready to use dynamic, and excited to see everyone else's feedback. So we were going to talk about what's going on with PNS. What's happening this week?
Yeah. So if you guys noticed in the comments, I'm sure probably Facebook can't see YouTube's comments and vice versa. But Keith just pulled away from the gate on his plane. So he's no longer in the chat, but he and Prentice are on their way to Hayward right now. So they are finishing up the training center, which is really exciting for PNS to get that back open. And, as most of you know, they've not moved to a new warehouse, but expanded. And so the training center got moved and has been totally rebuilt. And so they are putting the finishing touches on that this week. So they will both be in Hayward all week with Bob and Dave, and everybody is super excited about that. And we're excited to see some sneak peek pictures. And then the first training in the new training center will happen May 11th.
That's cool. And I think what I've heard about the training center is there's a pint fill line like right next to it.
Yeah.
So while you're learning and training, you can actually watch some products being filled.
Right.
And
which isn't that everyone's favorite? I love the fill line.
Yeah, that's
so
cool. I like the pints.
Yeah.
Because more of them, it happens faster. But I thought that was a really cool touch that they decided to go with. And for some of you that don't know, Hayward, California is where PNS headquarters and warehouse and training center is. And that's like the Bay Area of California. I know that some people probably have no idea what we're talking about. So figured I'd let them know.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do.
So William had a question that I saw that I would like to address. He asked, can we get a bead maker air freshener? William, that has been on our list for a long time. And I do actually ask for that a lot.
So what I heard about that, and I'll tell William why I don't think it's happened yet, is because the fragrance of Bead Maker is that we use to make Bead Maker is slightly different when you add all of the ingredients for Bead Maker. It comes out a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So to replicate that smell, we have to figure out what all the other ingredients make, because our mango scent for Bead Maker smells amazing, but it doesn't exactly smell just like
not
Bead Maker.
quite. Yeah, it's not quite. And then it also, so we do have the concentrate for the scent that goes into Bead Maker. The other thing about is it smells pretty close, but because of the scent of mango, it doesn't hang on very long. So I use it, but I mean, you have to be pretty dedicated. You know, you kind of have to spray it every time you get in your car. It doesn't hang on very long. So, you know, that's something that's definitely out there, and we would all love it. And so we are constantly working on it.
So Sydney and I have this list on our phone that we add stuff to all the time, and that we are slowly like bugging Bob and Dave to things. And a lot of it comes from your feedback. So we're always, you know, I'll even say we have a couple of existing products that everyone loves that is going to get a update, a new label, over
facelift.
I don't know. We thought it happened by now, but it may be a month or 2 or 6 months. Just they've been really busy, and so we're giving it to them slowly. Line upon line, little by little. I'm trying not to overwhelm. But what I like about that is we are constantly bringing something to you, if not every month, every couple months. And that keeps everyone excited. So if we dumped everything at once, we'd have nothing. So just buckle your seatbelts and enjoy watching our social media, because we're going to continue to bring more and more stuff out. Which I'm excited about.
Kyle, do you want to take Tim's question? Do you see that? What's the difference between the formula in your RV and boat polish and buff tone?
So I wish I could ask Dave a little bit more specifics there, but the buff tone and Kyle's boat and RV polish, they are very, very, very similar, I'll say. Buff tone has been around a long time. Kyle's is, we'll say, a update of that product. And both work really, really good. So if you have questions about it, go ahead and look at the part number for buff tone and the part number for Kyle's, and that'll answer your question. But just use them on RVs or boats until it's gone. Just make sure you polish it away. Don't even try and wipe it off. Just keep the product moving, and then it'll disappear, and you'll have great results with it.
Cool. Awesome. I'll take Scott. So he asked, he was asked by a client, what is the longest lasting tire dressing and how long does it last? So let's go from shortest to longest. In my opinion, in my experience, would be the shortest would be the Shine All. That one for me doesn't last more than a couple days. Then the Odyssey and Dynamic are kind of very similar in how long they last. I would almost say that Odyssey might last a little bit longer than Dynamic. And that could be the way that I put it on. Dynamic, I put on with a brush. Odyssey, I put on with an air sprayer, with an air gun. That might make a little bit of a difference. And so those I usually see about a week out of. And then for me, the longest lasting tire dressing that we have is the Wipe and Shine. That one, again, is brushed on. The Wipe and Shine, I feel like might last longer because it takes a lot longer to kind of cure out on the tire. So when I put it on, it'll be really shiny, and it kind of dries and mats itself in about 20 minutes. It's a little bit longer than, say, Dynamic. And I will see that one last a good week and a half to 2 weeks. And occasionally That is what my husband uses on his car. And sometimes he doesn't even redress the tires after 2 weeks. So that's why in my experience, I feel like the wipe and shine is probably the longest lasting. So that's kind of my experience. Kyle, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, so I would agree. Odyssey and Dynamic.
Oh, Hawaiian shine. I haven't tried Hawaiian shine yet.
Yeah, I'll explain that in a second.
Okay.
I was going to mention a few other dressings too. The Odyssey and Dynamic both kind of last that around a week for me. I like the Odyssey makes tires look blacker, deeper, where Dynamic makes them look like a little shinier. I have no idea. Someone's outside. But I like that because on RVs, and I scrub tires, and RVs tend to turn orange, their tires, because they sit a lot. So after you've scrubbed them with our white wall cleaner and got them as clean as they can be, they still kind of have that orange tint to them, where Odyssey just makes them look black. And it totally fixes that problem. Where we use Shine All, I use it on my fleet a lot because it doesn't last as long. And honestly, because I see those vehicles every other week, I don't want it to last that long because they're on the road a lot and it requires more scrubbing.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to make my life a little easier. Now, wipe and shine, same thing. It lasts a couple weeks. I tend to put it on vehicles that I've coated. That's kind of my more premier dressing. When I've coated your vehicle, if it's a more of a low profile or a street tire, off-road vehicles or trucks, I try not to dress their tires if I've coated it. The reason why is a lot of trucks have those plastic fender edges. And since I just ceramic coated it, I don't want there to be any sling. I had a bad experience years ago where the coating was still curing. Not with our dressing, but it was another dressing. And a little bit of a sling got on a white truck. And I ended up having to wet sand and buff because it stained the coating. And that was bad. So I try not to dress those. If I do, I like try and wipe every bit of dressing off after and just leave it natural. I don't have as much experience with Hawaiian Shine. I do have some. The reason why is because we've been focusing on the double black line and focusing on the chemtrail line. So I don't use it as often. But I will say, for those who don't live in California, or the Island Shine is great. But those who don't live in California, Hawaiian Shine is awesome. That blue spray-on high VOC tire dressing, we can't sell it in California. It's probably against the law. But that brings me back to an old dressing that I used to use from another company, very similar, that loved that smell. So if you guys don't live in California and you want a really cool dressing, that Hawaiian Shine's awesome. If I could get it, if I could use it, I'd use it all the time. But it makes a mess of a driveway. It's VOC, so it cures because it has the VOCs in it, and they've made like California compliant dressings, but it's just like it's like a blue silicone. And I just don't like it. So I just rather use wipe and shine. Does that answer your question?
Just so you guys know, I'm
a ceramic tire dressing.
Hey, I was going to let you guys know I'm still here.
Okay, perfect.
Everything's looking good. I just whatever technical difficulties we're having, I can't share the questions on this delay.
No problem.
That's all.
So we need a ceramic tire dressing. Okay. I appreciate.
So I've tried others from other companies that somewhat claim to be a ceramic tire dressing, and I've never seen one that even close to works. I mean, I think that tires, that's going to be a really hard thing to get anything to bond to for an extended amount of time. And what I noticed is it almost looks like it peels off. So in the process of when the tire is shedding that quote unquote ceramic dressing, it kind of peels off as if you would think like paint would peel off. and you can't just dress over it because then it's a real mess. And so I found that to be super frustrating. I think that there's probably a lot more technology that needs to go into that before there's a really good one. I just have not found one that works.
I've never found one that worked either.
Yeah, or that didn't take 4 hours of prep to get it. Tires are hard. It's a hard
kind
surface.
Of products years ago where you like the preparation cleaner was so aggressive that it would like ruin the clear coat on wheels.
Yeah.
And even after prepping it, I once did a vehicle where I did all 4 tires, and one of the tires wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
So I had a customer with 3 tires that had this product on it, and the 4th one was peeling like, like a bad sunburn.
Yeah.
So I know what he's talking about. We're talking about more of a permanent dressing, but honestly, tires have air in them. They flex. They go up and down.
Yeah.
They expand and contract with the heat. I don't think anything like that will ever work across the board. Maybe it'll work on certain cars, certain tires, maybe trailer queens, but that's not something that we plan on coming out with. Don't get rid of Velocity Glaze. Tim, we don't plan on getting rid of Velocity Glaze. I have a ton of distributors here in Southern California that sell that because their clients love it. So I don't think we have that on the chopping block at all. That list is very small. So enjoy Velocity Glaze. There has been a few things that have disappeared over the years. A few people have been asking for parquet wax. We don't have that on our order form anymore. I don't think it's around anymore, but Velocity Glaze is not going away. The blue dressing, been using the blue dressing for over 20 years.
Oh, that Hawaiian Shine must mean the Hawaiian Shine.
Yeah, must be that.
Yep. Formula 61. Is that I've seen that label. Is that a degreaser? What's the Formula 61?
If it's not in the double black line, there's a few items that you guys bring up to us that Sydney and I haven't even tried. So I guess we're going to have that sent out to us.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that label. I have not tried that product. So we'll test that one out.
I'll go I'm going to go into P&S University and look that up so I can read about it. P&S University, for those that don't know, is a supplemental help for distributors. They have access to all sorts of info from P&S.
Yeah, Formula 61 is an APC.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it says right here.
An old school APC. Nice.
Yeah, I've used the green all-purpose cleaner that we have, and I really like it. But I tend to go to EnviroClean. Yeah. I use it on so much that I don't need to have another cleaner besides Express Interior Cleaner. I do like Hot Shot. I use Hot Shot a little bit. I just use some Hot Shot to get some heavier grease off of an airplane that I did. But EnviroClean got most of it off. It was just getting a little heavy. So Hot Shot and Formula 61 are probably some of our old school products. Need a little bit. And you can tell after 60 years, P&S has a lot of products. Yeah. They've developed a lot. So there's still some that we're getting familiar with. But see, Sydney and I like to focus on the professional line and the Chemtrol and the double black line, and then use those in our everyday detailing. Yep. So obviously we haven't tried 61 yet.
Yeah. Scott, what was Shine and Gloss? Was that a dressing as well? I don't recognize that one either.
We may have to invite our chemist on here another week and ask
the P&S historian.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know that there's a story. There's a few stories. I'm sure Bob could tell us about some really cool experiences they had delivering P&S over the years, and the different products that they have. He's told me a few that I was just blown away. Baseball stars wanting Buff Tone, put a case of Buff Tone in the back of their brand new Cadillac every time they bought a brand new Cadillac. I remember that story as well. So 61.
Yeah. Rick said he used 61 years ago. It's good, but he likes EnviroClean better.
Thanks, Rick. I like EnviroClean as well. I mean,
I do too. It's just so versatile. I have not really ran into anything that I can't do with EnviroClean. So I really just the being able to dilute it, and it just always seems to come through for me that I don't often look for something else. So, but I'll have to try some of those.
A lot of people on here have been fans of P&S for like 20 years, or longer. So they've used all these products that they love, and I'm sure if you already love 61, if you give EnviroClean a try, you're going to love it as well. We've updated things. Cars have changed over the years, and so has P&S to help take care of those different cars.
Yeah.
And that's why you should probably give it a try every once in a while. Try something new. That's why we actually have EnviroClean in pints as well, if you haven't tried it.
Yeah, love it. So Jessica, she says they've been super impressed with deep finish polish lately for one step on darker color paints. They were not expecting the results that they've gotten, but it won on the test spots 2 out of 4 corrections we did last week. Yes, I love deep finish. It is such a great polish. I use it a lot too, just for one steps. And it generally, like you, that's what I find, is it generally is the one that wins out. It's the easiest to work with, and it does the most amount of correction for that one step that that you're intending on giving the customer. So I do love deep finish too. It's a great, great polish. And here's a quick tip about deep finish. So if you're using the Ego Maker compound and deep finish, you can actually go right over the Ego Maker with the deep finish because they're chemically paired, and you don't even have to wipe off. So a lot of times that can save you a step, is you can just polish right over your Ego Maker with that deep finish, which is awesome.
Make it more like a 1.5 step, and save you a little bit of time.
Yes, save that whole in between wipe off, and it works great. Also great for paints where if they tend to mar when you're wiping off the compound, that's a great method to use too, because then the deep finish is so much easier. You're going to have less towel marring. So I like to do that sometimes on those softer paints that you can get perfect, and then you mess it up when you go to wipe it off.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. I think we talked about that last time too, about some sensitive paint and before coatings and what some people would use.
Yeah.
I'll take this from Scott really quick. Are you coming out with any new pads like the P2704? We haven't discussed any new pads coming out. We're actually really happy with the foam pads that we have, and the lamb's wool, which is the P2703 and P2704. Right now, last year, within the last 2 years, we came out with the new color interface for that pad, which is a black interface now instead of the yellow. And I love that pad. That's a really nice lamb's wool. And I use a lot of lamb's wool because I use lamb's wool on fiberglass RVs and boats a lot. So good thing is those pads last. They're a little bit of an investment up front, but if you keep them clean and take care of your pads, they'll last you a long time. But though that's not anything, there's nothing new in pad technology enough for us to jump just yet. We're not against it, just nothing's popped up yet.
Yep. And then do you want to take this one too, Kyle? Because I know you're the master of this. Ricardo says, I hear a bead maker can be used in a foam cannon. How is that?
Yeah. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now, because I do larger vehicles, RVs, boats, big rigs. Bead maker can be used in a foam cannon, and this is one of those things that I've put on my list for Sydney and Rennie to try, because I want their feedback. Actually, a good friend of mine came up with this idea, and we actually called it the bead cannon. We gave it a name, and I do it pretty often. It is super efficient on most vehicles. I will say that because there are vehicles out there that are dry paint or old paint that it doesn't work on. If it doesn't work on that, well, then it doesn't work. Bead maker even probably has a hard time on some of those paints. But if you were to wash a vehicle and clay it and rinse it off, you could then mist bead maker on and let it sit and dwell for a minute. Just keep it wet. You could keep it on if you wanted to keep misting it on, and then rinse it off and blow it dry. And I've seen some amazing results on cars and RVs. I have some RVs that are stored indoors where they bead water 6 months later. It doesn't work as well on RVs that are stored outdoors, though. But I like it because it saves me time. I don't have to climb up on a ladder. I use it more like as an express service, kind of more of a maintenance than the actual protection service. If we're going to protect something with bead maker, we're generally going to get on a ladder and actually hand apply it, because we want a more concentrated amount of bead maker on there. But for maintenance, the bead cannon is awesome, and hopefully we'll come out with a sticker to put on your foamer, and we can make that a bigger deal. But that's something I've kind of kept within the team for a while. And my buddy Paul out in North Dakota is the one that came up with the idea, and I just tested it and it works great.
Yep. I haven't been able to use it yet, but I will.
You and Rennie both got to try it.
I know. I don't, RVs are not my thing, and I don't ever just want to wash one.
Well, you don't wash them. It's nice for me because if I have someone that we did a detail or we coated a year ago and we're doing a wash, I can be like, hey, your wash is $6 a foot for $12 a foot. I'll do a quick wax on it. And it works on rims. It works on glass. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yep. I did have my neighbor do it, because I didn't want to do it. So I gave him my foam cannon, filled it up with bead maker. He was washing his trailer, and so I told him, try this, and he thought it was great. He loved it. So I know it works.
You just got to make sure that you dry it thoroughly. I asked the Parkers out in Arizona, they've tested it, and they did a car, and they said that they don't know if there was something else on the vehicle, but it came off a little bit streaky. I haven't had that problem. So that's why we've kind of held back on it. We just really haven't made it a thing yet, because we've been vetting it for a while. Another thing you can do with a foam cannon that's really cool. I had a foam cannon, and I was doing this for a while. In the springtime, doing a lot of RVs, I will put bug off in a foam cannon and make a bug off foam cannon just for the front of RVs, where I'll just hit the front bug off. Yep. And I kind of designate one cheap foamer for it. Yeah. And it makes it really nice because I can get everything. I can allow the bugs to start to clean, and then I get my scrubber out and I scrub the front of an RV or boat or whatever it is. So
what dilution do you use of bug off in the foam cannon?
I go straight because it's going to dilute it.
Okay.
I don't add any water. I just kind of fill the foam cannon halfway up.
That's good to know. That's good.
Yeah, I tried to dilute it and it wasn't doing enough because it was mixing with the water and diluting it. So
that makes sense.
But with bead maker, I go pure bead maker in the cannon too.
Okay, nice. Awesome. So can Brake Buster be used as paint decon, non-acid cleaner, safe for paint surfaces?
Yes, it's not an iron decon. So I would be concerned with certain surfaces. It's meant for wheels and tires.
Yeah. And I would be concerned with considering it a decon, right?
Yeah.
Because decon we think of as iron, fallout, things like that. And honestly, the Iron Buster is such a great product and so safe on paint that, I would just use that to make sure that you're getting a true decon out of it. Break Buster, it's safe for paint, but it's not its intended use. And so, like any chemical that's not for its intended use, kind of steer clear of, but also you could do a test spot. And I've used Break Buster, like, for instance, if I'm spraying the wheels and I see some sort of contamination right there behind the front tire, I
Exactly.
might hit that real fast, but I don't use it as an all over paint decon. I've heard of people using it as a bug remover. I don't know. I feel like with grills and with some of the overlays that some manufacturers use, I would be a little bit hesitant to be spraying stuff on, some of those that, because if something did happen, you would feel like, was it the cleaner that did it? I don't think that Break Buster would hurt anything, but I just would maybe steer away from that. And if you truly want to do a paint decon, use the Iron Buster because it's amazing.
I've used Break Buster on the bottom edge, like you said, like you saw some paintings. I'd use it on the side steps.
Oh yeah.
The lower panels to kind of pre-treat to emulsify that dirt and tar down there. But yeah, I would try and avoid getting Break Buster on like some of those plastic fender flares that are painted, not the ones on a Jeep, but ones that are like fully painted, because some of those plastics with chemicals and degreasers, you can actually swell them. And I know this because I have a friend that one of his employees did, and they let the product streak. And when you let product streak down plastic, it will mess with the adhesion promoter behind the paint, and it will ruin it. So I would avoid using it all over a vehicle. You could use it on the wheel wells of a Jeep, on those kind of things, but try and do an actual decon with a metal, an iron remover. I've used EnviroClean, the same thing as a lower rocker pre-treat, and that works great as well. It's a little bit more gentle. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Exactly.
For sure. Always a good mantra. Better safe than sorry.
We've been there. We've done some of this stuff. I've screwed some stuff up in the past. And so I'm happy to kind of help so you guys don't make these same mistakes. And you know what? Part of that and part of the detailing is common sense, but the other part of detailing that I've helped me learn and get better is going and get certified by the IDA. The stuff that's in the certification class, or not class, the test is a lot of common sense usage of best practices. So if you guys aren't certified IDA or skills verified, I'd encourage you to go do that, because it'll help you become a better detailer, because you're going to take that class or that test and go, oh.
There's definitely questions on there that give you pause on things that you should always pay attention to before you go off script and try your thing.
One thing that I always remember, because I'll go to move a vehicle and I'll just leave the door open and I'll have my foot hanging out. And I'm like, hold on. The IDA says don't do that. And that's one thing that always catches me. Like, that's in the test. Don't do that.
For me, it's always the wheel cleaner on bare metal or brushed aluminum. That's the one that I always stop at the wheel and go, okay, is this is this the type that I'm not supposed to use XYZ on?
Is this raw aluminum? Is this clear coated aluminum? Is this chrome? Exactly. So get IDA certified and skills validated.
Yes, for sure. And all of those I'm seeing them pop up all over. I think they're, back to doing skills validation, in several locations. And so definitely look those up. That stuff's starting to happen again, which is super exciting.
Let's take this from Eduardo. I actually have an interesting answer for this. What's your best long-term plastic restoration product? And and how long the product lasts in harsh sun environments. So as a chemical company, we have many different dressings, and dressings usually have some sort of a silicone, different types of emulsions, and some of it's pure silicone. A good plastic treatment that we have would be like our bumper gel, but it's not a permanent solution. It's basically silicone. You're putting lipstick on a pig when your plastics get that bad. So even though this is not a PNS product, I would recommend you using Solution Finish. And I'll say that because Solution Finish has always been a great partner in the industry. Chris West is awesome. And so I'd recommend using that product because it is probably one of the best long-term plastic restoration products in our industry.
Yeah.
I've seen it last a couple months on some vehicles that are stored outdoors that were really bad shape. And I've seen it last a year on vehicles that are stored indoors that weren't as bad and just needed that dye to absorb back into the plastics.
Yeah.
So PNS does not have a long-term restoration product like Solution Finish.
Yes. And I find the same, but I kind of have two answers for this. So again, love Solution Finish. So for those faded, dried out plastic, Solution Finish is great. My experience with it has been, say you have a Jeep Wrangler with the plastic fenders, and like I would put it on. I have a Jeep that I've been seeing for about 6 years. And so started doing Solution Finish about 5.5 years ago, I would say. And so the first 2 years, I was having to put it on every 3 to 6 months. Now that it's got, it's been rehydrated and it's been protected, now I'm only putting it on maybe once a year, and it's kind of more of a refresher at this point. They definitely don't look anything like they did. And so I think the best thing is to explain to your customer that this may be a repeat treatment that is needed a few times to kind of get that plastic back. And then the second part of my answer is that while PNS does not have a product that is a trim restoration, the Inspiration Classic is a great preventer of this damage. So definitely when you have a new vehicle that comes in for ceramic, always make sure you do all that plastic with the Inspiration. It looks fantastic and it lasts so long, and it's going to prevent that sun damage and the fading to begin with. So and even on plastic that's maybe, a year or two old, that's not really faded, but it's dry, a lot of times you can revive that with Inspiration. If it's not too faded and you haven't lost any of the color, you can treat it with the Inspiration and it brings it back to black and then moves forward, keeps it treated. The one thing that Chris West will tell you is to be careful about putting ceramic on plastic that is really bad, because if you put that ceramic on it and it doesn't get you the color you want, you're most likely not going to be able to go back over it with Solution Finish because you've sealed those pores of the plastic with ceramic. And so then it will not accept the Solution Finish. So always make sure to do the Solution Finish first. The other thing I have done is I have done the Solution Finish and then ended up going back over, and you usually need to wait days for the Solution Finish to completely cure before you go back over it with a ceramic. And I think they have a product now called Over the Top. I personally have not tried it yet. And that's kind of the same idea. It seals in the Solution Finish, preventing you from needing to keep reapplying the Solution Finish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, how he explained it to me is, and this is really cool because you can tell your customers this, plastics have carbon in them. And higher end plastics, you usually never see, a Mercedes or some of the higher end vehicles that do have plastic fade. It's always the lower end vehicles, the Ford, the Chevy, the trucks, the Hondas plastic, because they use less carbon in that plastic when they make it. And so that's what Solution Finish does. It reinfuses carbon into the plastic and brings back that black in that manner. So that's why you don't want to spill solution finish on a customer's driveway.
Yeah.
If so, you better break out the acetone and start scrubbing right away, because I've been there, done that. So having said that, that should answer your question. Prevent. And then if you can't prevent it with a ceramic coating, then go in and get some solution finish.
So before we lose this off my screen, Travis asked, what can we use to protect tonneau covers on the trucks? So, they get nice and faded and black. That would be a lot of solution finish to use. So my answer is I generally use dynamic dressing. It's easy to apply. To use something like wipe and shine or something, that would take a lot of product. So I generally use dynamic. It's a great dressing, and it turns it black, and it lasts for a good while. Again, that's where I tell the customer, the more consistent we are with applying this product, the better end result we're going to have. What we're trying to avoid is that massive dry time, right? And so the more consistent we can be on preserving that tonneau cover, the better the results are going to be. So that's what I use.
I would add to that, put it on pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Let it soak in while you
soak
do
in
other
itself.
stuff.
Yes.
And then before your customer you pick it up, or you go and give them the keys, take a microfiber and kind of buff off some of the excess. That way you don't have dust sticking to it. That could look bad. I just did a Ford F-250 trimmer, which is like the Raptor of the Super Duties, which is pretty cool. And he had a kind of a fiberglass and aluminum cover, and I coated it with Sol. And I told him we need to do it, often, but I used Sol, and it actually changed the color of it. Brand new tonneau cover too. Yeah. It made it look deeper, and
they're brand new, ceramic coat them. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally. Yep. Awesome. Plus, it's going to make that water run right off, right? It's not going to it's not going to let them fade, because it's going to have that nice UV protection and all of that. So that's really great. Okay, so we have a ton of questions coming in. So now I can't see some of them, but I remember, I believe
I'm looking into that right now. Sorry,
so
guys.
Ricardo asked one about that, I think, and I love all the dressing questions, you guys, because dressings are on our list right now of things we're working on. So I love all the dressing questions. So I believe what Ricardo asked, can you explain the pros and cons, silicone versus water-based dressings?
So they work in certain areas better. I would always use a water-based dressing on an interior. They do have silicone in them, but the water-based, emulsions, they evaporate and just kind of disappear, where silicone doesn't do that as fast. Your wipe and shine, a gel dressing is more of a heavier silicone, and it tends to sling when it gets hot, where the water base doesn't do that as often. It will more just evaporate and disappear with time. So you can pretty much guarantee, like our bumper dressing, that's a lot of silicone in there.
Yeah, it's like snot.
It's like snot, exactly.
Yeah, it comes out like snot. The other thing too that I think is worth mentioning here with the higher silicone dressing that you're using. So if you're using bumper coat or the Hawaiian shine, one thing with any tire dressing, and I always really try to make this very clear about that, tire dressing, most of the success is in your prep. So if your tires are not really, really clean, the tire dressing is not going to look the way that it's supposed to, and it's not going to hold the way that it's supposed to. And so I constantly am seeing chatter online about tire sling. And that is really, so much of it has to do with the prep of the tire. So therefore, if you're using Hawaiian shine, you got to make sure that your tire's totally clean, or it could very well end up down the side of your vehicle. So always, always, always make sure your tire's really, really clean.
And so a lot of dressings, I find myself using, since I can't use Hawaiian shine in California, I would use Hawaiian shine in like wheel wells. You can spray it in, mist it in.
Yeah.
The solvent type dressings is what it is. They're amazing that way. So I end up using more like Odyssey in my wheel wells. It's a little bit more affordable.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to make it look nice and dark and for my customer for the first couple days, right?
Yeah.
I would use more dynamic in an engine bay because you're not going to cause problems with the engine. I don't recommend using like solvents in there. You have wires and other things that you could damage. You don't want to get it on the belt.
Dynamic
so
is
try
a
and stay
great,
with the water bases.
yeah, dynamic is a really great engine dressing because it does have, you know, some silicones in it, but it's water based, and so it absorbs on its own. So it's just a really great one to spray and just walk away. Really, really great. If you haven't tried that yet, highly recommend it.
And same thing, like dynamics. I love the smell of dynamic, but if you're going for interior dressing and you want a different smell, then you might want to try natural finish. Natural finish has very similar properties to dynamic, but it has a completely different smell.
Yeah, it's a little bit
like
more of a leather scent, a really light leather scent. And then for those that you have not tried dynamic yet, it is bananas.
And dynamic is a lot higher concentrate, where natural finish is ready to use in the gallon. You can dilute it if you want, but it's more RTU. And dynamic in the gallon and 5 gallon or hyper concentrates in the pint, it comes ready to use. So just kind of different, you know, some people are very careful of the smells in their vehicles. So if they want banana or they want leather, there you go. There you have options there.
So hi, Ivan. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Ricardo, so for the client that wants a matte finish, this is the amazing part of dynamic. It can be diluted as much as you want. So if I have a client that says, I don't want any dressing look, then you can dilute dynamic 10-1, and it gives all of the protection and none of the shine. So I would try that. Even at 4-1, it's kind of a more satin matte. It's not super, super shiny, but that's the great thing about dynamic, is it is highly dilutable. So the versatility of that product, especially on interiors, you can, you know, make it. And what I do is I have several bottles. So I'll have one, you know, 1-1 for people that want really shiny things. You know, usually that's tires. And then I have 4-1, which is my most common use. And then I have a 10-1 exactly for that, for the customers that are like, I don't want any shine at all.
I usually don't dress interiors unless it needs it. Then I'll actually bring that up to a customer. It's not included in my services, but you can tell when you see a vehicle and you're like, okay, this needs addressing.
Something.
Then we'll go and we'll you know, offer that service to them, and I'll ask them what their preference is on shine. And some people are like, I want it super shiny. And some people are like, I don't want to see any shine. I just want it to look natural. And so I'll usually use natural finish and maybe even dilute that just 1-1. Spray it in and then buff it down. And it will moisturize the plastics without leaving a shine.
So we have
good.
Well, we have Rick. He's asked a couple times, and I wanted to make sure we went back to it. With he has a client with a fifth wheel with some oxidation. He's tried a couple test spots and not happy with the outcome. Any suggestions for him?
Yeah, you know, Rick, it depends on how old the fifth wheel is. If you've already done some test spots, and are you not happy with the outcome, or is the client not happy with the outcome? If you're trying that on a really old RV, then you need to be doing some heavy cutting first. I don't know, you know, if you can give us some more info on that, what you're using. But I can tell you this: older RVs, we'll say in the early 2000s, fifth wheels, they had real fiberglass gel coat. Like they had you could wet sand them and buff them back then, and you could make them look amazing. Now they've switched over to a cheaper, more like a laminate. They call it fiberglass reinforced plastic. So it has fiber in it, but it's basically a big sheet of plastic. And when those dry out, they don't oxidize the same. They more just lose their shine. They just go dull. And that's why Kyle's, after testing it for a long time, I learned that Kyle's will moisturize the surface. It's not a long-term solution, though. People that leave their RVs outside and let them rot, honestly, in my opinion, don't deserve to have the shine ever again.
Yeah. Well, and that's my thing is it's like just some of those you might want to walk away from. I mean, some of them you just can't save, and a lot of them, you could be opening Pandora's box. So I would just be really careful.
And it depends on what products you use. I'll tell you this, in my tools that I use for RVs, I mainly use Kyle's. I would also look into using Manzurna FG400, Meguiar's M101, and also Meguiar's 67. Why? Because they are very oily products. And if you're doing RVs a lot and you don't have these products with you, most of the time Kyle's is going to work, but you need to have other options. And so that's what I would do for a bad RV. But if it's not coming out at all, if your test spot no shine, I wouldn't do anything. So hit us up on my Instagram's right here on the bottom. You can see, I
think it's gone. I think we might have lost Chris.
It's right here at the bottom of the thing. It says Add Extreme Detailing Kyle.
Okay. I can't
send
see
me
that
a
anymore.
message and let me know what you're working with, and I'll try and give you some help. But like sometimes you just got to walk away, especially if they're really old.
Yeah. Yep. Tim, my customers love the leather scent too, and I use natural finish on interiors, and I love it. Natural finish is one of the products that will be getting a facelift this year, so watch for that. That will start becoming more talked about as both Kyle and I use natural finish, and we love it. So Dynamic's going to give you the same kind of finish, but yes, we love the leather scent inside as well. Chris, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Are we missing any questions that you saw?
I think we're doing okay.
Okay. I know they keep.
It's possible we missed one. This isn't ideal today. I don't know what's going on, but I think you're staying on top of it pretty good.
Okay, cool. Let's see. 90%, Louise says 90% island shine and 10% multi-dressing holds perfect and the most affordable dressing you can buy. I have not tried multi-dressing either. This is so funny today. All these products getting mentioned that I've never seen.
Hey, Bob, you need to send us some more stuff to play with.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have Island Shine in my.
I have Island Shine too.
It's in but I have it in a 5, so I guess I need to break Island Shine out to play with it some more.
Yeah. I have Island Shine and Hawaiian Shine, and honestly, I haven't tried either of them just because we were doing some really hardcore testing last year on, coming out with Odyssey. So between Odyssey, Dynamic, and Wipe and Shine, I was doing pretty good. So honestly, I have those. I just have not tried them yet. So I will definitely break those out. One other thing I want to mention, if you guys did not catch the video on Instagram last night, from Travis's question last Bead Maker and Coffee regarding how to get streak-free glass. So I did a quick video showing you our tip on that. So we're going to try to do that every day before the next Bead Maker and Coffee. We'll show you one of the questions that came up. We'll kind of address that physically and show you guys that quick tip. So make sure you watch the Instagram and the Facebook for those tips. So we'll always choose one question that came up, which it sounds like next week it's going to have to be something about dressings.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I love it.
Hey, Sydney, I found 2 questions that we missed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see that. Rob's question.
Yeah, Rob asks, should I use Bead Maker on top of or underneath Turtle Seal and Shine?
I don't know anything about Turtle Seal and Shine. I'm assuming, I feel like from the name, it's a very similar product to Bead Maker. It's just a paint sealant. Is that right?
I'm not sure if it's from Turtle Wax or not, but I will tell you this. We've dealt with this type of question before, And whenever someone tries to mix bead maker with other types of products, there tends to be a dusting issue or a streaking issue.
Yeah.
And so I don't recommend mixing bead maker with anything except for just a ceramic coating.
Yeah.
If
And
you're
it does
coating,
sound like, yeah. And it sounds like from the name that Turtle Seal is like a paint sealant. So I feel like it's most likely going to be a very similar product that maybe you don't need both. But what I can say is always make sure that you're using your strongest protection on the paint. So when layering products, you always want to use the strongest one first. So, but to me, that does sound like that might be doubling up on.
yeah. I just know that people have complained about streakiness when they mix bead maker with other types of polymers.
Yeah. So don't use bead maker on top. I can pretty much tell you that bead maker on top of something that has already sealed the paint surface, other than a ceramic coat, is probably not going to
If you
be
really
its best.
want to get the best results out of bead maker after you've washed and clayed a car, then go ahead and hit it with paint prep and then bead maker it. It's gonna bond even better.
Yeah. So then the next question is, does bead maker go well on top of chemicals, butter, wax? So bead maker is a paint sealant and wax is wax. And so the paint sealant is a stronger product. So you're going to want the bead maker on first underneath a wax. So if you're using any wax, any paste wax, the wax is your last product.
The reason why is this: wax usually has a boiling point of around 170 degrees, and most waxes evaporate in the in the sun. So you put bead maker on top, you're going to lose both the products. Waxes tend not to last as long. So I would stick more with just using the bead maker. And not trying to mix on. If this is on your personal vehicle, I get why you're playing, but if this is on your customers' vehicles, I just think you're wasting time. Really, in products, I use bead maker as my protectant, but I would use it to maintain clay the vehicle with bead maker. You can do that too, not with a clay bar, but with a clay mitt. Rennie has a nice trick about that where you can actually protect and clay at the same time. But yeah, try and stay with that. So here is another question. I can use Ultra Coat paint sealant, then bead maker on top. Yeah, that would be okay.
Yep, that's fine.
We've done that. We've seen that work fine.
Yep, and I've done that. Ultra Coat paint polish and Ultra Coat paint sealant are both fantastic products, and the bead maker works well over both. Yeah,
now,
you can totally
do that.
If for
some reason you get any dusting or streaking, because paint can be different, use a little bit of paint gloss, and that'll help fix that issue. Because like I said, you're mixing products that aren't exactly designed to work. They will work together, but they're not designed to work together.
Yeah.
That's why bead maker works so good on top of a ceramic coating.
Yeah. And I do the Ultra Coat polish and remove it with the bead maker, and that's a fantastic process. I love that. Love it.
Hey, going back to an older question that we had skipped over, Robin asked, which protection layer do you recommend for weekend warriors that polish their own cars annually, but don't need a ceramic coating or don't want one?
I think bead maker. Bead maker, I think, because you can do after you polish it, you can put a good coat of bead maker on and then just maintain it with bead maker when you wash it. I love to use bead maker as a drying aid. And so I think that way you're not using multiple products that may not play well together. So I would use, a good strong coat of bead maker after you polish it, and then maintain it with bead maker throughout the year, and you're going to have great results with that.
I'm gonna throw this out there too, though. Even though it's more of an investment dollar wise and also size of the product wise, PNS Soul,
yeah,
even though he said he's not interested in ceramic coating, it's a really easy 1-year coating to do for a weekend warrior.
Yep, absolutely. And your results are going to be phenomenal for the time investment. Sol is an absolutely great entry level coating, but the rewards from Sol are far exceed what I think anybody's expectation should be for an entry level coating. So yes, if you wanted to step it up a notch, you would be very happy with Sol for sure, especially if you're taking the time to polish your paint. That's really gonna, it's gonna give you a lot of other benefits for protection that any paint sealant or wax is not going to give you. Let's see.
You were holding still for so long, I thought you were frozen.
Oh, you know what? Here's how being a business owner goes. I just got a text message from someone. Good morning. What's your ETA for today on the trailer? My response is, I don't have any trailers booked today, so I don't know who you booked with.
Oh no. That's never fun.
And your phone number is not saved in here, and you're not in my CRM.
Oh gosh.
So are you contacting the wrong company? That's happened before.
Yeah, that's always fun.
No.
That's always fun. So like, Jessica, yes, Playmaker has Beadmaker in it. That is true. That is great product. And I, again, use the Beadmaker to remove the Playmaker. Like John is saying, apply Rupa's Uno Protect and remove with Beadmaker. Same process. Awesome on all of those products. Awesome. Can PNS paint gloss be used as a midweek clean shine with affinity detail? Yes, the thing about paint gloss is we're talking pretty light dusting, not actual dirt, right? So if you're just using it as a quick detailer, it can be used as a waterless wash, but just make sure that there's nothing that's like true dirt, but absolutely, if you're just wanting to dust it off and shine it up, absolutely. Paint gloss is fantastic for that. Hiram says, take the job and I'll go help Kyle. I think Kyle's got himself booked today.
Now, I have a doctor's appointment today. That's why I can't chew gum or anything. I got to go that's why I'm just drinking water. So I'm like, dude, I have a doctor's appointment that I've been waiting for weeks. I have no idea who you are. No name, no nothing. Gosh. Just a random phone number.
Oh Weird. My gosh, that's so funny. Too good. Okay, did we miss any other ones?
No,
Ricardo loves Sol. I love Sol too. Yeah, Kyle's got to get, but thank you guys for all the awesome questions today. It's going to be hard to pick out which one we're going to make a video on, but lots of really great questions today. And obviously Kyle and I have some homework to do on some of these products so that we're ready for next time. But awesome. Thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate it, and keep bringing your questions. They're so great. And anything else, Kyle?
No, I think we covered a lot of questions. Keep your questions. Go to our social media, PS Detail Products on Instagram, and send us questions there. Yep. We're trying to answer, and then if not, keep them for our next Beadmaker and Coffee, which is going to be in 2 weeks.
2 weeks from today. And you know what? We're going to invite Dave onto one of these with us. I think that would be awesome. I think everybody would love that. So you guys, we will definitely try to get Dave to join us for one of these.
Yeah, we'll let you know when. We're going to try and bring some guests on here every once in a while, but we enjoy answering your questions.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, everybody have a good day. Thank you, Chris, for all your help.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Technical difficulties today. All right. You guys have an awesome day.